Hi everyone, it's Kim here with Sunshine Creations and Crafts, and this is part 2 of how to put a storybook together. We're going to do the binding right now. And so far, what I did in part 1 was I cut the chipboard, and it's a little bit bigger than an A2 size envelope, and I cut the binding of the book at 2 inches. Now, the end of that part 1 video, if you close the book like this, you can see that it's quite a bit bigger than, proportionately to the book, but you can, that's not a problem. If you want to reduce it, you can actually do that. You can drop it down to, inch and a half, but you would have to accommodate your hinge binding system to that and play around with it. It's okay to do that. Now this is 8.5 by 11, and I just picked this really pretty peach color. And you got to get your big scoreboard out here, or whatever you use to score with. You're going to go in about 1 inch, and you're going to do 1/2 inch score line, 1/2 inch score line, 1/4 inch score line. And you're going to do that 6 times. So starting at the, I'm going to go in, I'm going to start at the 1. And it doesn't, for this, I think it's going to be okay. Okay, we're going to start at the 1. I'm going to move this up so I don't keep bumping the camera. So there's 1, and I'm going to do, there's my 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4. It's hard for me to see the glare there. Okay, then you're going to go 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4. Try to figure out where I was at last. Okay, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4. At this point, let's take a look at what we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need 2 more. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4. That's 5. I went over 1/2 inch. So when I do my folding, I'll have to be careful. Okay, there's my 1/2 inch. I'm going to ignore that mistake right there. And you won't see that in the book. And the 1/4. And go ahead and leave these flaps. You can cut them if you want, but you don't need to. Now I'm going to need a little bit smaller score tape. There we go. Okay, and it's like the what is it called? The mountain fold, I think. You're going to fold that. I'm going to go on the other score line and fold that. I remember the first time I did this, well, I mean, honestly, I think I tried it like 6 times. My brain wasn't absorbing what I needed to do here, but I figured it out. So you're just, folding your score lines, folding on your score lines. How's that? Some of them I didn't push down too far, so it's not a very good fold. That is going to be your hinge binding. Now, I just realized that I didn't cut this first, and that's going to be too hard to do once I get my hinges done. So I apologize. Let's backtrack here a minute. And I want it to be the same size as my book, which was 5 3/4 by 4 1/2. So I'm going to see if this will work. I'm sure it will. Just smash it down. So there's my 5 3/4. That's the size of my book here. Okay. Now forget that I said 4 1/2 because that didn't matter. So that's going to be your hinge. That is your hinge right there. So here's your other hinge. And the quarter inch spaces are really just giving you a guide as to where your hinges are going to go. There's my hinge, and I'm just going to take that 1/4 inch score line and fold it in. And you know, once you try it a few times, you'll see what works best for you. Some people do the back and forth and the back and forth, and it's just for me, it's easier to just find the hinge and then I fold on the score lines accordingly. And the hinge would be that score line that's in between the half and the half and the half. Yes, that's correct. See how I'm finding the hinge lines? Now this one here is the one that I made a line in the wrong place, so I'd be careful with that. Okay, so at this point, I'm making sure that my 1/4 inch lines have a fold as well, because that's what's going to hold down on the binder for your book. I hope I'm not making this look very too complicated, because it's really not. See, I'm just going to kind of squeeze this all together. And I need to go ahead and do that score line a little better there. It's going to go like that. And we're just kind of gathering it up. And then this is the one where I'm going to get confused. Oh, I got it. And gather it up. And then you want to go ahead and use your foam folder and get it pressed down really, really well. And flip it over, and then that's the part that you're going to put on the binder, is that flat part, not the part where the hinges are sticking up. Now, I've seen it done 2 different ways. I've seen it where the person who's making it puts the score tape directly on the back of the hinges, and then I've seen it where they put it on the binder. Now, I prefer to do it on the binder. And I just put that right. I'm going to use a different size score tape, and you'll see why in a second, because I need to cover up the whole binder, and that 2-inch score tape is not going to do it. Yeah, so be prepared with your score tape, because score tape is your friend in this project. You're going to put it on the binder, but you're going to put it on the back and the front cover as well, and that's going to kind of hold it in place when you're putting your book together. Okay, go ahead and just, use your fingernail or whatever you have, and just make sure that score tape is down really well. This is a cute size book. I don't think I've ever made one this small, so I'll see what I can do with this one. Now you can do this type of binding system, book system, not just for the storybooks I've been doing, but for mini albums as well. Okay, so there's my hinge system. It's sticking up, and I've got that fold right there, and I want to match up the very first fold with this fold in my book. So I just fold it down like this, and I make sure that I'm not pushing down on the paper and the chipboard. It's just, I'm kind of just set it on top of there for now. Because once you push it down, if you feel like you have to pull it up, then it's gonna rip. So, and then again, I hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. Let me hold it up like this. That last fold, again, I'm going to match up to where the book folds, and I'm not pushing the hinge system down yet. Making sure that that's right on the fold. See how that's a little bit off, so I can move it over. Okay, I'm just literally going to push this down, and that score tape is going to hold it in. And I'm going to go from the middle, making sure that my hinges are all good and ready to go. And it should just kind of, whoops, sorry, I moved the camera. Kind of fall. This part right here in between the 1/4 inch is the part that you're focusing on putting on that middle binding system, the 2-inch piece. That's the part that you're trying to get in the middle of your book. Now before I push this down, I just want to take a look at where I'm at with this and make sure that it is all good. And it looks like it is. Now see how nice that is? Now if you're confident with it being down, you could even take your book and fold it in to make sure that you have it in the right place. You want to go ahead and push that down in so you can make sure that your hinges are down on that middle part of the book. And there is your hinge binding system. Okay, let's see where I'm at. 11 minutes. I'm going to show you quickly two or three different things you can do here. You can take your A2 size envelope, and I don't want to ruin this envelope, but you cut this off like so, and then it would slide right over that hinge. Before you do this, however, it's a very good idea to cut the edges so that you have an angle. It helps that your envelope, if you're using an envelope, or your paper slides over that hinge much easier. So, okay, in a second I'll go back to the envelope and then I'll show you the other ways if I can get that all in this video. Alright, so again, we'll pretend like we've cut that off, and you're going to slide that on your hinge. What you need to do, however, in any case, is you need to put score tape on that side of the hinge, and then the other side for each and every hinge, and then that'll keep your envelope in place. Now, with your envelope, you're going to want to put a piece of decorative patterned paper on each side, because that's your page of your book. If you're doing a mini or a storybook, either way. So we're going to pretend like that's that, and then like I said, you would put your decorative paper on here, but you want to leave this side open because you have to slide it over your hinge. Now, another thing you can do if you don't want to use the envelopes, and this is what I did for my storybook for Max, was I got this chipboard in a packet at Joann's. It's a little bit thinner. And what I did was I cut it the size of the hinge. I'm going to go ahead and do that for you, because I will use it. I know I will. And I'm just about 13 minutes, so we're good. So let's do, we can do it a little smaller, 5 1/4. Yeah, we'll do it. No, let's do 5 1/2. So let's go ahead and do 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and we're going to need 2 pieces of this. So I showed you the envelope method, and now I'm showing you another method you can do. So for this one, you're going to want to put score tape on your edge here, and you do this to both of these pieces. Score tape here and score tape here. Now we don't want to go that far on that one. And you're going to do score tape here, and go ahead and leave about 1/4 inch on the one edge. Score tape here and score tape here. So again, this is another way to do it if you don't want to use your envelopes. And you could use cardstock. You don't have to use chipboard or lightweight chipboard for this either. You can just, if you have a good thick cardstock that you want to use, you could do that as well. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating my own pocket. And really, I just want to remind you, this is a real basic way of doing things. You know, if you go onto YouTube and you want to watch other people how they do it, that would be good. You can get some other ideas as well. And then, like I said, I'm creating my own pockets. I'm going to put these together to make sure they're completely lined up. And notice how you've got that opening there. And then this would go, again, pretending that there's score tape on each edge. This kind of gets tricky too. You're going to slide that on like this and making sure that it's lined up so that you have your little slants there, and then that would be another page. So you would, you know, make enough that your book would close and you would have all the pages in like that. Another option you can do, I'm actually running out of time, so I'm going to make a third video and we'll go ahead and finish the book. All right, be back in a second.